දසනකාන්තී චූර්ණය සහිත ලීවර් ආයිෂ් දන්තාලේපය දත්වල ඇති ප්‍රශ්න 10ක් වලකයි.
On Friday, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky announced that 7 Sri Lankan citizens who had been held captive by the Russian soldiers since March were rescued in the liberated territories of Kharkiv region. Following the Ukrainian president's statement, the Minister of Foreign Affairs requested the Ukrainian government to ascertain the veracity of the news item with regard to the rescue of 7 Sri Lankans from Kupiansk Medical College in the Kharkiv region. They also requested to provide more information on this as a matter of priority given the need to ensure the welfare of Sri Lankan nationals in Ukraine. However, yesterday, police of the Kharkiv region in Ukraine via Facebook post said the 7 Sri Lankans aged between 20 to 40 are in one of the rehabilitation centers and are provided with medical care and all the conditions for proper residence are ensured. According to the Kharkiv police, some of them had arrived in Ukraine for studies and others for employment. The matter of 7 Sri Lankans was also highlighted by a Ukrainian journalist based in the UK in her Twitter account. Speaking to AdaDerana English News, journalist Maria Romanenko told us what she got to know about the Sri Lankans from the police of the Kharkiv region.
They were living together in the same house, as far as I understand. And when the all-out invasion broke out, they got scared and they stayed in the house. And then they decided to walk to Kharkiv, which is under Ukraine's control. And the first Russian checkpoint that they reached, the Russians kidnapped them, blindfolded them, took them in an unknown direction at that time, which turned out to be Vovchansk, which is another town in the Kharkiv region near Kupiansk. And they were held there for a couple of weeks until September, for a few weeks until September the 10th, when the town was liberated. When it was safe to get out, they decided to try and walk to Kharkiv again, this time successfully because it was all liberated. And they reached a hotel on their way, and the security guard in the hotel saw them, he helped them, and he called the police. And that's how they ended up in the police department, and the police looked after them. They made sure that they were able to call their relatives via video calls and to make sure that they can tell them that they're fine now. And they are still in a rehabilitation center and being looked after, being given medical help, something they've not received at all with the Russians, who treated them horribly. From what we know from the Sri Lankans themselves, from the police, they were tortured. They were only given food twice a week in very small portions. They had their toenails torn off by using pliers. Other methods of torture were also used, such as they were slammed between the door frame and the door, and slammed with the door and beaten with, and specifically in kidneys. One of the Sri Lankans specifically said that 40-year-old man said that the Russians were drunk all the time and they made them clean up after them and demanded money as well instead of paying them for the work. There is a investigation started by Ukraine into this to check on all the marks of torture and those sort of things, but I'm sure repatriation is being probably discussed as well if that's what the 7 Sri Lankans want.
Meanwhile, State Minister of Foreign Affairs Tharaka Balasuria offered an explanation on the 7 Sri Lankans in question.
මේ 7 දෙනා උතුරු නැගෙනහිර ප්‍රදේශවල කට්ටියක් ඒ කට්ටිය නීති විරෝධී මාර්ගයෙන් යුරෝපයට සංක්‍රමණය කරන්න උත්සාහයක් දරලා තිබෙනවා. ඒ යුක්‍රේනයේ තත්ත්වය අපි මොනිටර් කරා. ලාංකිකයන් 89 දෙනෙක් හිටියා පිටත් වෙන්න ඕනේ කියන ලාංකිකයන්ට ඒ කට්ටියව රටින් ඉවත් කරගන්න පුළුවන් වුණා. මේ 7 දෙනා අපිට ඒ වාර්තා වෙලා තිබුණේ නැත්තේ මේ කට්ටිය නීති විරෝධී මාර්ගයෙන් ඒ යුරෝපයේ බලා ගමන් කරපු නිසා. දැනට තිබෙන වාර්තා වලින් කියන්නේ කට්ටියට එන්න කැමැත්තක් දක්වන්නේ නැහැ. ඒකත් අපිට රජයක් හැටියට කියලා ඒ කට්ටිය බලෙන් ඉවත් කරගන්න අපිට හැකියාවක් නැහැ.